Hi everyone, this is Dr. Victoria Nalule and I've gone live. This is my first video going live, so I hope it's clear. And all right, so in this video, I want to talk about linkages in the extractive industries. So the extractive industries, as we might know, it includes oil, gas, coal, and mining, and the mining industry. And in recent years, the extractive industries, whereas they've been linked to climate change, especially fossil fuels, they have also been very effective or very important with respect to the global move to transition to a low carbon economy, especially when you're talking about the minerals that are needed in this energy transition. In my last video, I talked about critical minerals. So all those are extractives. On the one hand, they are really they contribute a lot to climate change, that is oil and gas. And then on the other hand, when you talk about the mining sector, you see like critical minerals are very key when it comes to the energy transition. So today I want us to focus on the issue of linkages in the petroleum in the extractive industries. What are the different economic linkages that countries really need to focus on to be able to benefit from the extractive industries? And this is a very important topic because in the development of the oil and gas sector, or even in the development of the mining sector, countries have to be aware of the various ways the mining sector or the oil and gas sector can impact on the different sectors, or how other sectors can be impacted by the oil and gas sector. So when we're talking about linkages, we're going to focus on the economic linkages. And for economic linkages, you have basically two types. This is going to be a brief video, but I have written about linkages, so you can go on our website and find out the different policy papers and research insights on linkages. But we have like economic linkages, which include the fiscal linkages and production linkages. So for the fiscal linkages, we're talking about like the taxation regime, the royalty regime, and also how the country can benefit from the extractive industries through the different fees that are being paid by these international oil companies or even international mining companies. So for a country to benefit from the fiscal linkages, first the laws have to be very clear, the energy laws, the mining laws, the kind of provisions they negotiate in these petroleum agreements and the mining agreements also have a big impact in ensuring that a country can actually benefit from the linkages. For instance, what kind of royalties is a mining company or an international oil company, what is the percentage that they have to pay? And when it comes to taxation, how are they going to be taxed? All those are very key for a country to be able to benefit from the fiscal linkages. And then the other thing, important thing, is you also have to look at the provisions in these contracts. For instance, for countries that are offering stabilization clauses, how long is that clause? For what period of time? Is it for 30 years? Can you change the tax regime within that period, or you are restrained because of this stabilization clauses? So it's very key that countries, especially African countries and other developing countries in Latin America or even Asia, to be very mindful of how they can benefit from the fiscal linkages, because this basically is aimed at ensuring that the state maximizes the economic returns from the projects, from the extractive projects. So it's always very important that they really take into consideration the various ways on how to benefit from the fiscal linkages. Now, the other example of linkages, of economic linkages, is the production linkages. And this one involves the backward and the forward. So the backward has been manifested in different theories, and the most common right now is the issue of local content. Because with the backward linkages, it's looking at the involvement of the local farms, is looking at issues of employment. So local content provisions, the local content laws, and the local content initiatives are all aimed um, uh, at at enhancing the backward linkages. But besides the backward linkages, we also have the forward linkages, and these ones are aimed at adding value. Because now you'll notice that most countries, developing countries, don't really have the necessary infrastructure to add value to the resources. And this has in return made it hard for these countries to really benefit from the extractive industries. So the forward linkages are focused on refineries, on adding value on the product, so that at the end of the day, the government doesn't only focus on taxing oil companies or mining companies, but it can also establish refineries, which in return will be in a position to like ensure revenue collection from the governments, and also the other thing, be able to employ some local people. So this is just a summary of the linkages. I'm not going to go so much into it, but also remember we can have like the side stream linkages and the consumption linkages. The side stream linkages are basically the benefits that accrue from the extractive industries involuntarily. I'll give the example of the various developmental infrastructure developments that take place in these um, mining communities, or even oil and gas communities. For instance, the issue of road constructions, transport sector, the healthcare services that come as a result of the extractive industries. Those can be like side stream linkages. And then consumption linkages is the fact that with these resources, people will get a lot of money. So they have access to money, and in that means that they can also be able to spend a lot because of the earnings they are making. So that brings into consideration the consumption linkages. But the message in this video is for countries really to navigate the various ways on how they can enhance on the economic linkages in the extractive industries. And remember, this will require the critical analysis of the various laws to see what the laws are saying, especially on the fiscal linkages, what kind of provisions are being offered in these contracts. Are these provisions likely to make it hard for the country to benefit from the fiscal linkages or not? Also, the taxation regime, the connection between the energy sector or the mining sector and other sectors. That is also very key. How are other sectors likely to be impacted by the extractives, and how is the extractives likely to be impacted by these other sectors, like farming, for instance, service provision, agriculture. All those really have to be taken into consideration. Tourism. So it's a very important topic that really we really need to look into, because in the past, the reason as to why most countries were not benefiting from the extractive industries is because they were not able to manage effectively the various ways on how to benefit from the economic linkages that accrue from the extractive industries. That was the main reason. And the topic of linkages is a very wide topic that obviously I cannot discuss fully in this short video. But I would encourage you to go to our website for our consulting firm, that is Nalule Energy and Minerals Consultancy. Look out for the policy briefs on linkages in the extractive industries, and also get in touch with us if you really need to, if you require executive trainings, tailored trainings, or even research and consultancy in these sectors. So that marks the end of my video. It's a weekend, so I wish you a lovely weekend and enjoy yourselves. Bye bye.